Hi guys, welcome to Palante. Today we're going to talk about general, financial aid information. So today we're talking about money and, paying for college is definitely a really big aspect of going to college. With that said, I don't think you should stress out before you even apply. So this is kind of something more to consider after you apply to your schools. Money is definitely a really big thing about going to college, but it's not the first thing. There are definitely different ways to go around paying for college, and today we're just kind of going to talk about the general ideas. There are other videos that are a little bit more specific about each sort of thing I'm going to talk about today. And with that being said, I just kind of to leave it out there, my personal opinion, I think education is an investment, and I think it's something that is definitely worth investing into because education belongs to you and nobody can ever take that away from you. So with that, we're gonna get started. So to start off, there are two different types of aid: merit-based and need-based. So merit-based is essentially aid, or well, what is financial aid? Getting way too ahead of myself. So financial aid is just essentially money that you get to go to college. This can come from different spots, different areas. And like I said, there are two types. There is merit and need. And so merit is more like you have this amazing talent and they're going to give you money because you have this specific talent. So merit usually tends to be academic performance, but it does not always have to be. It could be you're just super good at a sport, or you're really good at dancing or an instrument, stuff like that, just based on the talent. And then the next one is need-based. So need-based is essentially how much do you need it. This is sort of based on your family income, your current situation of your family, stuff like that. And yeah, now we're gonna kind of go more into what types of financial aid there are. So first off, we have scholarships, and scholarships are, in my opinion, the best type of financial aid because they're essentially free money. And so a scholarship, there can be scholarships outside of your university or specific to your university. And so for scholarships, they tend to be merit-based, but not all the time. Sometimes they have requirements that have to do with some need and merit. So it really depends on the scholarship, and there are so many different types of scholarships. Some are, for example, if you're going to go into engineering, if you're going to go into music, so on and so forth. If you're from a Latino background, Black background, so on and so forth. There are some outside and inside, like I said. Outside scholarships are essentially just people. There are a lot of scholarships that are like memorials for someone, and they give scholarships out in their honor. So this is some examples of outside scholarships. Some restaurants also give outside scholarships. For example, McDonald's gives a scholarship, Taco Bell gives a scholarship, Carl's Jr. gives a scholarship. Shout out to them because they're paying for my way to college, and not all of it, but definitely a little part. And then there are inside scholarships that are for your specific university that different application, different things. They have their own processes. But yeah, that's essentially what scholarships are. Next up, we go to grants. So scholarships and grants, you're going to hear these two very often. They're very similar, and some people really use them interchangeably, but grants tend to be more need-based. And so there are some federal grants, which essentially is, money you're getting from the government. There are grants that are, again, sort of like a scholarship, but just for example, if Bill Gates gives a giant grant to, a foundation, and they're like, okay, I want you to divide this money between kids that are going to go to college, that would be sort of a grant. So very similar to a scholarship, but tend to be more need-based. Next up, we have loans. So like I said, I think education is an investment. So there are also opportunities to get loans when you're going to college that the federal government offers, and just other companies and other banks, for example, offer. So they come in two types, and they're unsubsidized and subsidized. If you go to my loans video, you can hear more about that and just sort of the specifics about it. Last up, something that is super important that everybody has to apply to is called the FAFSA. And so the FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And so everybody applies for the FAFSA, and super important, everybody applies to the FAFSA. Do not forget, make sure you apply. I believe it opens up October 1st. The faster you do it, the faster you're over with. So all of these sort of like scholarships, grants, loan, a little bit less for scholarships because scholarships you can apply outside of the FAFSA application, but a lot of the things that determine how much money you're going to get to college are based on the FAFSA. And so even if you're a non-citizen, make sure you fill out the FAFSA. There are like specific options depending on your like status and your situation. With that, there are also different ways of getting money. For non-citizens, they cannot get federal aid. However, hopefully there's a video by now for non-citizens and sort of like their process, because it does vary a little bit. But yeah, this is essentially just kind of like the general financial aid process. There are more specifics in other videos if you want to like see exactly types of grants, scholarships, all that stuff, and really get in depth. You can check those out. But for now, that's kind of like the general financial aid information. And so yeah, once again, don't stress out about this too much. This is something more when you get into a university, and make sure you're in contact with the universities once you get accepted, because there's always ways around this. There are many different ways to pay for college, and this should not be an impediment for anybody. So yeah, that's basically it. Make sure to leave sort of like comments and suggestions on what you want to hear about next. And yeah, always remember to look forward, and palante!